Rescue 117 is the Irish Coast Guard's rescue helicopter based at Waterford Airport. For 6 months, RTE cameras have followed this unit as they battle against the elements to save lives, often in perilous weather conditions. On this show, the rescuers need rescuing. The crew of an RNLI lifeboat are missing at sea.
This is not funny, is it?
Oh, just keep looking, just keep your eyes clear, lads.
A kite surfer fighting the Atlantic currents.
So I do think he's in a bit of bother, alright?
And a Sunday walk in the mountains ends in near tragedy.
Cameraman's now picked up the... Keith, is she unconscious? Yeah, routing. No response, sir.
The Irish Coast Guard search and rescue helicopter crew based in Waterford are on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. A new crew have just come on duty, but there is little time to settle into the shift. A call has come in that an RNLI training mission has gone terribly wrong.
I was actually just wrapping up my paperwork because the shift ends at 1 o'clock, and we got a call from the Coast Guard that 2 red flares had been seen at Wexford Harbour. We were there within about 15 minutes. En route, we were given the information that it was actually the Wexford IRB that was in difficulty. These are people that we've worked with on a regular basis, and we know.
An IRB is a small inflatable inshore rescue lifeboat. It usually has a crew of 3 or 4 RNLI volunteers.
Just off Ravens Point, lads.
We'll just go beyond the waterline, then we'll turn, we'll cruise along it and back in and round.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm expecting a flare. If someone is in the water, they're going to pop one up for us when they see us.
The crew on duty are pilot Peter Mackenzie Brown, co-pilot Ronan Flanagan, winch operator Chris Mahdy, and winchman Mike Sandover.
Quite a fierce sea to be in, 40, 50 knot winds, a swell of around about 2 metres, but because of the shallower water, a lot more wave action.
The Wexford RNLI are out on a routine training mission in an area which is known for its cross currents and unpredictable waves. A red flare indicates that something has gone wrong.
Lads, I have something happening at 3 o'clock.
Visual right.
Turn right.
My target, following it through, I have control. 2 o'clock, red flare seen.
Okay.
On the nose now.
The 3 RNLI volunteers have been out of radio communication for over an hour. 2 of the crew are clinging to an upturned rib beyond the surf line. However, the situation is worse than expected. 1 crew member is missing.
I saw in a very distance a flash of light, and I knew it would be the helicopter. It came approaching quite low and very, very fast over the harbour. I said to Dermot, "Can you hang on for another while? We're okay here." And he said, "Yeah." So we worked out a signal to give to the helicopter.
2 of the guys were on the underside of the overturned boat, but they were indicating to the west of them for the 3rd person, and we had information that the crew was a crew of 3.
Okay, go for it. Swimmer first.
Moving forward, moving right.
The longer the 3rd crew man is in the water, the risk of hypothermia and drowning increases.
The last I saw of Simon, he was northeast of the boat on the Raven Point side.
We then did an initial search for the 3rd person, because that man is in the water and he's obviously in a lot more difficulty. At that point, he'd been in the water an hour. But again, these guys, they're in immersion suits with life jackets, spray hoods. So the length of time they can survive in water is vastly greater than, say, a normal person falling in their daytime clothes.
Pilot Peter Mackenzie Brown has to make a decision: rescue the 2 visible crew members or search for the missing man in the water.
That felt bittersweet because, Jesus, the helicopter is going away from us, but at least it's going for Simon. And then we saw it sweeping up and down.
This is not funny, is it?
Oh, just keep looking, just keep your eyes clear, lads. He's here somewhere, lads, so...
He is here somewhere, Christy.
Okay, I can see the lifeboat coming into this exertion.
Rescue 117, this is Rockflair Lifeboat on 16, do you read over? Where would you like us to proceed to? Over.
I'll tell him to come straight over to us.
Tell the boat to come straight to us, yeah.
With the lifeboat now on scene, pilot Peter Mackenzie Brown decides to prioritise the rescue of the 2 visible survivors.
I was more concerned at that point then that, look, these guys are getting cold on the back of the boat. We'll get them on board. But it also means that we've got a trained person on board that can help us with the search, more importantly about where they capsized.
And then I saw the helicopter turn towards us, and I said, Grace is getting it, and feel really guilty that it meant that if he was turning towards us, it didn't spot Simon.
Winchman Mike Sandover is sent down to retrieve the 2 men.
It's great to see a familiar face and you recognise who's coming down. So Mike came down, got the strap over Dermot, and it was very quick because both Dermot and I have done a lot of training on the sea, knew exactly what to do with your hand. It was weird. It was all my training and all, you know, being on the lifeboat for 11 years, all the experience is about being the rescuer, and you're kind of mentally set up for the rescuer. And here during this whole thing, we were the rescued.
Left 2 now, I'm forward. Left 1 and forward. On your clear forward now, forward 3. Drifting away was forward 5 now. Got the door there now, on 11-7. Okay, good. I'm bringing him inboard. Happy enough? Check clear the winch.
You are clear the winch.
Roger.
The second crewman, Peter, is in considerable pain. He has possible broken ribs, so winching to the aircraft is going to hurt.
He's up at the door there now.
Lovely.
As soon as the guys put the microphone on, the headset on, I actually switched mode again, and I was back to how the hell are we going to find Simon?
We capsized that direction about 3/4 of a mile, and we got separated. Current dragged us out into the deeper water.
Okay, Mike, what I want you to do is come up.
The last I saw him, he was heading that way.
Okay, what we'll do is we're going to fly towards where you last saw him. If we're going left to right, just tell us, okay?
Okay.
As each minute ticks away, the hope of finding the 3rd crew member fades. All eyes are now desperately searching the waters below.
I had directed the helicopter north to northwest, so it did a search there for about 10 minutes. Because I know that area fairly well, but I was quite disorientated because I'm not used to seeing it from a few hundred feet up. I was steering them in the wrong direction because the last I had seen of Simon was northwest of us, and working with the guys to work out where the tides were going and what the currents were doing, because there was so much fresh water in the river, it was making the currents slightly different than they are normally.
We've sighted a person on the beach at the Raven Point. Can you confirm, is it one of the Coast Guard personnel, or is it possibly the lifeboat crew member? Over.
The lifeboat has just said they've seen a person. On that person, now standing up.
It's the news they've been waiting for. The 3rd crew member, Simon Gulliver, has been found alive and picked up by the lifeboat.
A couple of occasions when things were looking a bit grim, I found myself shouting out loud, "I'm not going to die today." Which is a bit peculiar. Being out there in the middle of the sea on my own, shouting at the top of my voice. The helicopter passed me twice on the runs up and down, and each time I presumed they'd spotted me, and then they'd disappear off again into the distance. During the whole ordeal, there's only maybe one time when I thought the outcome of this isn't going to be good. I could see things. I could see my wife telling the kids that Daddy's not coming home today. No.
As Simon has been in the water so long and is at risk of hypothermia, the helicopter crew winch him on board to get him to hospital as soon as possible.
The pilot was probably wondering why the 3 guys in the back of the helicopter were holding hands on the way to Waterford.
It's these lovely pre-warm sleeping bag type things, and they just wrapped around it. We were like a nest of chickens in the helicopter.
The most important thing in those circumstances is that everyone's on board, and the worry about a crew member that's not there is gone. Well, it's good, it's job done. You know, that's what we're here for.
Back at the Waterford base, not all of the duties of the crew have such high stakes. Sometimes they have to get their hands dirty with more mundane tasks.
When we're on the ground here, we all have our different duties to do. I think there's loads of things to be done on the ground here to keep the base and to keep everything up and running.
You're not doing anything. Where's Dara? Interesting point. What do you think? You can see we take pride in our aircraft.
A 61A is big, sturdy, perfect aircraft for search and rescue. But every bit in it we need. We don't want to get damaged. And it's pretty crucial, so we do look after it.
Listen, we're just watching the aircraft at the moment, so I'll be on my mobile if you want to give my bell. You've got to try and get a phone call just about now. That's the key to it.
The big waves off Tramore Bay are perfect for kite surfing, and the sport has grown in popularity over the last 10 years. With more people enjoying water sports, search and rescue teams are busier than ever. Tramore Bay is also regularly used as a training location for the crew of Rescue 117. The crew on duty are pilot Barry O'Connor, co-pilot Mark McDermott, winchman Mike Sandover and winch operator Neville Murphy.
MRCC called us on Channel 67 to say there's a kite surfer in difficulty just 300 metres off the shore at Tramore.
There's 3 people on the beach there looking at him.
With no wind, the kite surfer is drifting helplessly out to sea at the mercy of the Atlantic Ocean's currents. It's obvious to the helicopter crew that the kite surfer is not in immediate danger of drowning, but he is in some difficulty.
Okay, the kite will be a concern. He's still attached, so I do think he's in a bit of bother, all right?
The danger that we would have is that if we did get down close, the kite itself could get airborne with the downwash of the aircraft. And obviously the danger then it could strike the tail rotor blades or the main rotor blades. It's fairly clear from us that he was probably in a little bit of trouble, all right? But the problem was, obviously, the kite itself was in the water and was acting like a giant anchor. So he wasn't making any progress whatsoever towards the shore.
He's just got a very tough battle back into shore. I'd imagine a lifeboat.
I'd take a lifeboat out, guys.
Yeah, I would too, yeah.
Rescue 117, this is more life, much more life. But we're just currently coming up on scene and we're just wondering what your intentions are.
Roger, we'll just stay on scene till they haven't hit the shore, just to keep an eye things over.
We have a great relationship with RLI, and it's great for us because obviously they can do things on the ground, on the water that we can't, and vice versa. So we complement each other very well in that respect.
The helicopter monitors the situation as the RNLI pick up the kite surfer. They bring him safely back to shore. Coming up next, a leg injury has near fatal consequences.
Now picked up the key to shield conscious.
Rescue 117 is the Irish Coast Guard's helicopter based in Waterford. RTE cameras have been following the team and their rescues as they unfold. Winch operator trainer Neil McAdam is preparing the helicopter for another module of winchman Keith Devaney's upgrade to winch operator. Over the past number of weeks, Keith has learned to pilot the helicopter from the winch operator post in the cabin. Now he must get used to the responsibility of winching with a live person at the end of the wire.
Today we are training Keith on the ground to deliver a stretcher with a casualty in it. There is a manoeuvre to get the stretcher in the door. Quite physical, takes a little bit of power, and there's a technique to it. You're putting on weight, are you?
The next day, winch operator Neville Murphy takes over Keith's training.
Happy enough? Yeah. I'm going to go through a brief and we'll do a bit of winching. Go up to 100 feet as low and come back down then to 40 feet. Just controlling the hoist, get used to the hoist. This is your opportunity, you're on your own. You use the hoist, get used to it yourself. Okay? I don't want to interfere if there's a safety element.
This will be Keith's first time to winch a person to the ground while the helicopter is in a hover.
Well, how do you think that went?
I'm happy about a few aspects of it. Kind of day one, week one stuff that I made a mistake in. I suppose just to jump straight to probably the most important one was the carabiners.
The carabiners are all that holds the harness to the winch cable. Keith has not fully secured the locking mechanism.
That's huge, no, that's a safety issue, gate open, okay. I think you know the seriousness of that yourself, and there's really no need to go into it, except what it says. I don't want to see it again.
I was disappointed even in myself. I should have known better. It's a cataclysmic mistake.
The hoist control has a variable speed. It takes a lot of practice to get used to it.
He went onto the ground a little bit heavy. Just as you get to the last few feet, just ease off from the switch. So you just kind of gently move him on it. Overall, it was grand. I mean, as I said, that was your first time live winching with someone on the wire. Okay, so again, a lot of the mistakes you made are expected at this stage of your training anyway. So again, I mean, to make these mistakes, this is the time to make them and learn from them.
A call comes into the helicopter base in Waterford. The crew have been tasked to a person with a leg injury on the Cummeragh Mountains. The crew on duty are pilot Peter Mackenzie Brown, co-pilot Martin Rayner, winchman Keith Devaney and winch operator Neville Murphy.
At about 3:20, we got the call on the emergency phone from the Marine Rescue Coordination Centre in Dublin to say that there was a woman with an injury up on the Cummeragh Mountains.
Fog and cloud are a common hazard for mountain rescues. For the pilots of Rescue 117, it means that visibility is poor, which increases the risk of something going wrong.
Okay, you can have that back, Peter. I have another one here.
One report that came from the man on scene was that it was good visibility and clear. They're obviously not in a cloud there. I think he's probably on the other side.
It could be on the other side, yeah, on the western side.
So what we're going to do is go into Compshigawn. We've got wind coming over the top and down, but it's 20 knots, it's not that hard. We'll get in tight, get to the top of the Compshigawn. We'll be able to look down and to the right where she is, yeah?
Get a group of people there on.
Directly on the nose.
Hey, firm on the far off.
On the ridge.
The Cummeragh Mountains cover a vast area of County Waterford. With the highest peak over 400 metres, it's a popular spot for hill walkers and hikers. The injured hill walker is with a ground crew rescue team who have made radio communication with the helicopter.
Dara 1, Rescue 117.
We're on your left-hand side over about 200 metres.
Visual. I'm happy to go straight in, Nevy. I'm going to end up with them over at my 11 o'clock. I'll bring the tail round to the right and slope. I'm going to commit to the low ground if you're happy, Neville.
Yes, Peter, you're clear forward now, forward and right.
Roger, I'll just get over the low ground. We are committed, bringing the tail round to the right. What with
Roger,
the risk probably from the right. Your pattern, please, Neville.
Okay, Peter, not too close to the castle now for happy in any position here. We can deploy key to let him out. Okay, checking to Winchman's equipment. Winchman's equipment is good. Bring the Winchman to the door. Roger. Winching key out the door now this time.
The South East Mountain Rescue Association are on site and they have first aid equipment. The mountain rescue team leader has put an insulated bivy bag around the casualty to prevent hypothermia. The casualty looks well and is able to communicate with Keith and her walking comrades. She has injured her lower leg.
Whereabouts is it here? Right on the bone, is it? Just underneath.
Can I get the stretcher, please? Yeah. Do you need a spinal board, Keith, or just a stretcher? No, just the stretcher now. Roger.
Clear to wind.
Roger, watching again as we go. Correction out.
The casualty is to be transported to Waterford Regional Hospital.
Roger, scope up.
Stretcher in the door. And stretcher in forward. Just going to tidy up in the back. And closing up in the back.
Roger. I'm going to turn right and get down the gully.
Fully understand that.
But once on board the aircraft, the casualty takes a turn for the worse.
Cumberland is now picked up the
Kate, is she unconscious?
routing direct.
We'll get North Flat, sir.
It was fine when she came in the aircraft. No conscious, right, go.
Check for pulse.
The paramedics need to find out why the casualty has slipped into unconsciousness.
Okay, she got a good pulse.
Okay.
Right pulse.
What's her name?
Emma.
Good visual.
Condition immediate.
Rescue 117, we have picked up the casualty, currently unconscious and working on, so it's an immediate pickup from the ambulance on arrival at the Waterford Hospital, please.
Right, we're going to get the oxygen.
What's the story here? What's the history?
Just out walking, fell over. See, she got a sprain to her right leg on the hill for 40 minutes before we were called. Gave her cement and ox on the side of the hill. Breathed it in fine, no problems. Was alert. After we came in the door of the aircraft, came unresponsive.
Okay, we're getting eye movement there. She's in
good stuff.
Emma went into compensatory shock, meaning her body became overwhelmed, causing her to pass out. The crew hand Emma over to the waiting ambulance.
I was just so grateful that hadn't been there for a couple of hours, which really would have happened if they had been waiting for the foot mountain rescue. Would have been waiting for maybe 2 or 3 hours and then another 2 or 3 hour trek down the side of the mountain. So it was so quick, it was so swift, it was so easy that God, it was such a relief really. I don't know how I would have gotten down otherwise. It was kind of an unnerving situation looking up into propellers and getting closer and closer to them, but my whole memory of that whole time was a bit blurry. They were really very well trained, knew exactly what they were doing. He was not at all flustered or worried, and that was kind of very reassuring. They're so professional, they know exactly what they're doing, and they've done it a million times before.
Here at the Waterford base, we have such a good team here. Really, really nice bunch of people, very, very dedicated, very, very brave. We see difficult things at times. It can have its tough times and its stressful times, but you know, we absolutely love it. We love what we do. We love rescuing people. We're all very dedicated to it, and there's no way in the world we would do anything else in life.
Coming up next time, in severe weather conditions, the crew help a baby who needs critical attention.
And stay with us for the RT Main Evening News coming up next.